I'm retro. Let's get it. We in the chop shop. We live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. We live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take. On Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray and Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, you see me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop. We live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. We live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. But we're broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Welcome today to the Chop Shop. But I want to start this show out. I want prayers up. I want everybody prayers up right now for Aaron Fox dad. He's he had a episode. I think he had a stroke. He's in critical condition. So prayers up, basketball community right now. I'm just I don't know everything about it yet. I just found out this information right before I came on the air, and they wanted me to pray for them and their family. So guess what? Let's do it collectively. As prayers go up, blessings come down. But yes, and it's Baby Friday. We got first of all, I want to thank those beautiful, smart, brilliant young ladies who came on the show yesterday. Heaven Dorsey, Nicole Hutchinson, Dorian Branch, and Sierra Henry. Thank you for their participation and their contributions to the Chop Shop over the years. Jimmy, we got so much stuff in the NBA. We got three great, powerful guests coming up very shortly. I got a sort of tie in to each one of the guys. It's just unbelievable. The next 4 weeks, Jimmy, I want to let people know the next 4 weeks can determine the fate of the NBA. You know how they talk about the calls and the calls and the calls? I was on a call yesterday and this morning. Let me tell you something. It's, if you like NBA basketball, it's a great chance. It might not, come on, and Jimmy, and people will lose. I know in this pandemic, but a lot of revenues, including the players, will be lost. So let's, if you like basketball, let's hope for the best. So what else you got, Jimmy? Before our first guest come on.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes or so, we're expecting our first guest. It's grassroots. By popular demand, after last Thursday, we had one of the grassroots administrators from Texas, and that was Lupe Nunez. We chat with and conversed with him. Went so well. Guys sent emails, and by popular demand, why don't y'all do that again? Okay, so no problem. Whatever, if you guys want, that's how at one point in time it used to be like it regularly. Let us know who you want, and we'll go and get them. And so we have an allotment of grassroots directors that will join us today. And starting off is Tim Schumacher. Tim Schumacher is the coach and the director of the Houston Hoops program, and he will start it off. Next after him is expected to be Jeff Webster from out of Dallas-based Nike Pro Skills. And after Jeff, then we will transcend into one of the players who, should end up with a great convo with Randy Livingston, who, as the Live On Fleur de Lis program based out of New Orleans. And this is going to be a great conversation. Of course, you guys, yes, that is the same Randy Livingston who starred at LSU back in the days, who was one of the top players in the country during his heyday. And we're going to talk with him about that and about life now. He's a coach and a high school teacher as it stands in his area. So that's going to be great convo. So what we're asking you guys to do is get your questions ready. Get your questions ready. And I know a lot of you people out there, and you see a lot of these grassroots coaches and your programs from afar, you have questions. Then when it comes time, you swallow your whistle, so to speak. So ask your questions. You want to know stuff, and guess what? All we can do is present the questions to them. Now, ironically, yes, the disclaimer is in advance. Ironically, all three of today's guests, yes, are sponsored by Nike Grassroots Program. It did not set out to be that way. We had one Adidas sponsored team, and something happened. I know how guys think out there. So therefore, and I purposely try to mix the deck up. But the Adidas director had something that overcame his appointment.
I like how you be politically correct, but guess what? I don't see nothing wrong with just Nike being on the show.
But we gonna love and chat love everybody. It's like last week. Last week, Lupe was an Under Armour program, and once again next week we already have booked up. We have a Nike, an Adidas, and an Under Armour program for next Wednesday, and then the week after that, I'm gonna tell you something. We're hitting it out the park. I'm not going to share it with you right now because I see what happens. We share too much stuff way in advance and give other folk a chance to go try to slip them in on other shows and kind of water down, and slip too much baking soda in this pot. In other words, if you guys from the street know what I'm talking about. So we ain't gonna go like that. I'm telling you, at the end of the month, we're gonna hit it out the park. We're gonna break the internet with that conversation that we're going to have in 2 Thursdays next. But today this is going to be quite well and in regards to our grassroots conversation. First and foremost, I would like, and I remember I spoke with Gary Charles recently, and he had mentioned something, and he even mentioned it again back when he was on our show. When we had Gary Charles on the Chop Shop a few months ago, and he mentioned something, and he asked, which is not hard to do. He asked, why do we keep calling grassroots basketball summer basketball? Why do we keep calling this AAU? It's grassroots.
Jimmy,
it's not
we don't
AAU.
do it on this show.
I'm just saying, a lot of people I notice we keep doing that. So let's try during this time. Stop referring to it, because what you're doing is you're giving an infomercial. You're giving advertisement to an organization that has zero to do
Jimmy,
with the teams you're really talking about.
When you know about Jimmy, they've been saying this for years, and it's hard. You sometimes it slip out of you. Sometimes it slip out of Chris Walker. Sometimes it slips out. Ain't nobody gonna get perfect at it. Just understand, if we just got to keep regurgitating this thing over and over is summer basketball. Summer basketball, summer basketball, grassroots basketball. It's no harm if somebody slip up and say it. We ain't gonna have the police come get you if you if you say AAU basketball, y'all. But it's just summer basketball. Most of these things are done in the summer, spring and the summer, grassroots basketball. So I mean, it's I don't think it's. I thought about that when y'all.
Okay, but it's the same thing as the social distancing stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, okay, the social distancing stuff.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
No. As far as
it's not the same thing.
No, dude. As far as incorrectly identifying something, you make it a conscious effort.
I got a question though. AAU basketball is in the summer also, right?
But AAU basketball.
No. Just help me. AAU basketball. They have it in the summer.
AAU basketball is year round.
I got a question. No. Do they have hold up, Jimmy. Don't answer the question with a statement. Answer it with a question. With an answer. Jimmy, does AAU basketball, does it happens in the summer?
The championship takes place in the summer. Yes, some leagues take place in the summer of AAU. You're talking to a former chairman of the Gulf Association.
I don't care who I'm talking to. You talking to a guy that got 3 degrees.
But not in AAU.
So I'm telling you, but hold up. I had a son that participated in every last one. Hold up. And I spent you might have been the chairman, but I spent my money in each one of those platforms. So guess what? How about that?
What they got to do with what they got to do?
No, but because I got experience in AAU.
So excuse me. Is there a difference between?
When we were playing AAU, it was in the summer. I didn't play it in the damn winter, Jimmy Hicks. We played it in the summer.
Now, think about this. There are multiple AAU events that take place pretty much year round.
Man, don't make your point, because
I'm saying you don't make your point. You don't understand. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But it's not the same thing. All I'm telling you, you can't. You're sitting up here trying to tell people what they can't say. I never said about social distancing. I didn't say. I just gave a person an option to say and have people. And you tried to use my words as a negative, and that's the point. You tried to use the social. No, I gave you an option to understand. Don't social distance yourself from nobody. You physically did, and you tried to use that in talking about AAU. Man, dude, come on. Let's bring on the guests. He's sitting. He ready. He ready. He tired of you talking. Let's go.
No. They tired of you talking about something that's gone all the way to the left.
You brought it up.
And once again, a lot of people do not know. And what you're doing is you're going like this. Oh, don't worry about that. They do not know.
I just explained to you. I was in AAU basketball. I had a son in it. You never had a son in it. Excuse me. I was in summer basketball. I was in summer basketball. I had a son in it. So guess what? I got a pretty good knowledge of what's going on.
Now, listen, understand the major differences between the two for those who don't understand. All AAU basketball is grassroots basketball, but all grassroots basketball is not AAU basketball. For AAU basketball, all players must have a registered ID card to participate in that event, which provides them insurance in the event they get hurt. They're covered. All coaches must pay a membership.
Jimmy, they can go to the website. We got a guest about to come on. We behind. We 3 minutes behind. They can look at the website and look up AAU basketball. But ladies and gentlemen, they can look it up. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it today. But this is not the time. We got a guest about to come on. Let's bring Jeff Webster on.
And of course, Jeff Webster is, of course, is first up and joining us today on the Chop Shop based out of Dallas with the Nike Pro Skills program. And that is a program that is in the recent years, they went to a lot of programs, guys, will go through name change, but it's kind of like and still operate. And there's several in the city the state of Texas that have done so. Nike Pro Skills is one. And these guys have been quite active on the scene. And we're going to be joined, of course, we got Jeff Webster is scheduled for the top of the hour. Our first guest that was scheduled right now is Tim Schumacher.
Okay.
So that's what we're waiting on Tim to put on.
We waiting on Tim to put out. Okay.
Coming up at the top of the hour is Jeff Webster, his slot. Okay. And so, that way everybody has their own slot to talk about their respective programs. And lastly, once again, on the back nine, we'll be expected to be joined by Randy Livingston. He will come at the half-past mark of the second hour. Meanwhile, we got Tim Schumacher that's going to come in first, and he just pulled on in out of the dressing room, and he's with the famed Houston Hoops program, of course, ironically based out of Houston. And this program has been one of the measuring sticks and one of the benchmarks around the state of Texas and the South and around the country for the most part, and for their consistency. And when I say consistency, I'm quite sure Tim will share that with us. But we welcome you to the show. What's going on, Tim?
What's up? You guys doing okay?
Yeah, let me click you in here, Timmy. All right, there you go. What's going on, man?
Man, we're just hanging in here trying to survive. So it's a different world we live in right now.
So now when we mention consistency, tell us a little bit about the Houston Hoops program and what makes them one of the more consistent programs under the Nike umbrella in the country.
I think the purpose of grassroots basketball is to put you to take some basketball players in high school and put them in an organization that allows them to get on a platform and show what they can do and try to help them get to the next level and get what they want out of basketball. And then all of us as coaches are trying to help them grow up as people as well. And if you look at the history of the hoops, it was started in 1985 and been around for over 30 years and a big part of Nike program for over 30 years. And I've been in it for the past 10 years, and just the success that we've had with our guys getting what they want out of basketball and with our teams and what we've been able to accomplish as groups, we're pretty proud of.
And you guys are sponsored by Nike, and
yes.
You play on the sneaker circuit. And times have changed. Tell us, what year did you start with the Houston Hoops coaching? Because you were, and explain to them, what did you do before coaching, and what do you do? I'm thinking, what do you do now? Take us through. A lot of people just think you guys as just a coach, and that's all you do.
Yeah. I played basketball a long time ago at Baylor and wanted to be a coach my whole life, and jumped right into college coaching. And so I did that. I was at 4 different places in 5 years trying to move up the coaching ladder, and kind of I met my wife and future stepson and changed my priorities of bouncing around the college level. So we were both from Houston. So I decided to go to Houston and be a high school coach, and then did that for 12 years. And in 2008, I made a career decision to get out and go try something else. And I was fortunate to be able to get into the grassroots basketball scene right then. So I've had the best of both worlds, where I'm able to get out in the real world and have a real job and make a little more money than I did in education, and also able to keep up the coaching and the competitive nature that I've always had.
Hey, Coach, yeah. I'm looking in your background. Coach, you got some unique jerseys back behind you, sir. Yeah, and I know you don't want to turn around and move it. I see a Kings jersey. I see a Miami Heat jersey back behind you. What's the significance of that big, extensive trophy case back there behind you with a lot of jerseys that were in the NBA? Tell the people who might not know who this Tim Schumacher is. What's going on behind you there, sir?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with our guys being able to move on and get to the next level as far as NBA or I even got an NFL, some guys. So I just decided one day that I wanted to kind of do something nice and, for our guys and for myself. And so what I did is we just had a cabinet made back here with all the guys that are playing in the NBA that I've coached or playing, there's 1 or 2 NFL guys as well. So There's more space in the cabinet, so we're always looking for the next guy to go in there.
Now, of course, you mentioned that you were a high school coach before before volunteering yourself as a grassroots coach. You coached in Houston at Klein Collins High School.
Yes.
And that program was pretty much hot. You guys went to the state tournament, right?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to go to Klein Collins when they opened the school in 2000, 2001, and I was there until 2008. We opened with 9th and 10th graders. So for the first couple years, I mean, we were underclassmen. We were fortunate in 2004 to make a run to the state's semifinals. We played Milby there, and of course they were the best team in the country maybe that year and won it all. And but for us, for our guys being a new school, first year with seniors, to be able to make it to the state semifinals, we actually won 4 playoff games by a total of 12 points to get there. And it just showed kind of the toughness of our guys. And then that kind of started us in the next 5 years. I mean, we were top 10 or 15 in the state every year at some point, and we made it to the Final 8, Final 16, Final 32. We had some impressive kids and made some good runs.
Coach, on our Facebook feed, we have you live. I don't know if you know you're live on YouTube and you're live on Facebook. And I found out this morning, a friend of mine I haven't talked to in a while, he said, Coach, I can't watch you no more, Mr. Hatter, because I used to listen to you on the radio, and I don't have Facebook. I said, I got something else for you. I said, I got YouTube for you, baby. And he went straight to YouTube and subscribed to. They didn't know. So, the reason I'm saying is because some people probably don't know. But on these 2 feeds, one on Facebook and one on YouTube, Jeremy Davis asks, what is the process on how the EYBL hoops recruit their players?
I don't think it's any different than anyone else. All the programs in the city are having to build teams. So some of them are just very local and get kids in the community to play together. And when it comes to us, we've just been fortunate enough to have the support of Nike and the EYBL background. And so we have a little bit, different platform. So we're able to kind of go out and kind of recruit guys that are hopefully able to put us in a position to win a national championship at Peach Jam, because that's our goal every year at the 17U, 16U, and 15U levels, is to try to win Peach Jam.
And of course, now Tim, you when I was thinking back about the high school days and Meech Goodson and all that, and take us through some of the distinguished alumni from the Houston Hoops program since you've been on. Just take us through. A lot of people may forgot about some of these guys. This is an opportunity to relight the candle and take us down a little short memory lane walk.
Yeah, I started with Hal Passner 10 years ago with the hoops, and I did it because his vision of how grassroots basketball should be run was in line with what I thought. So there was happening to be an opening. We merged, and it's been a great, call it a marriage, if you will, over the last 10 years for our grassroots program. And for us, I've been fortunate. One thing I learned real quick as a coach is you're only as good as your players. So we really, what I think we've been able to do is get great talent, get them to put the team above themselves, which in a grassroots environment is very difficult, because everybody's playing grassroots because they want to try and get their own scholarship. They want to try and show themselves, and yet we've been able to do it within a team concept and get our guys to buy in that if our team has success, the individual success will follow. So in the last 10 years, we've had, I call 10 All-Americans. 9 McDonald's All-Americans and one that played in the Hoop Summit and won a gold medal with Team USA. In my eyes, that's an All-American. So we've had 10 kids over the last 9 years that have been All-Americans. Starting with the first year, we had Keith Frazier, who was an All-American out of Dallas. And you talk about the epitome of what the hoops is all about. Keith Frazier is a McDonald's All-American, and he comes to us to be our 6th man. And he came off the bench and was our leading scorer, but he probably played 18 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game, because when you're trying to win a national championship, you have to win 8 games in about 4 days. And your best players can't play 30 minutes a game for us if we're going to win. They can play 30 minutes a game, but it's hard to win because they get worn down. So But Keith was he was, the first that started with Justice Winslow and Justin Jackson and Kelly Oubre were all sophomores on that team. And all three of those guys, of course, are in the NBA now. And then De'Aaron Fox was a freshman on that team. And, we're still devastated by the news of Big Aaron. I mean, De'Aaron and his family were a part of our family for 3 years, and they're a part of our family for life. So prayers up to Aaron and the whole Fox family. We're thinking about you in the hoops. And, we had De'Aaron, and he was 3 years with us, and Jared Vanderbilt came right behind him. And we had Billy Preston out of Dallas, who was an All-American that signed at Kansas. And, it's been – they're all special groups in their own way. And it's been a lot of fun for me because a lot of people, it's hard to coach those guys. But for us, we've been able to have success getting those guys to buy into a system and say, hey, I mean, you're not going to play – you can play 30 minutes a game on any team, but if you want to win a national championship, this is how you got to do it. And those guys come to work every day, and they've been a great group to coach. And then more recently, Tyrese Maxey, we're expecting him to be a lottery pick in the upcoming draft this year. He's out of South Garland, and then Davion Harmon and Javonte Smart's at LSU. And I think he'll have a chance in the next year or so to probably be in the NBA, whether it's this year or not. So, we've been fortunate that we've been able to get great players. And, it's my job as a coach to put them in a position where they do what they can do best and to try to get them to play hard and play together.
Wow. Coach, I'd like to just add to that, Coach. I was blessed enough to be with your team in the summer, and was so unique. I didn't think my son was playing as many minutes as he should have, but he loved the experience. And when I asked him, see, parents, this is what I'll never forget. I said, well, dude, hey, let's go. Get what he said. You can go. I'm staying here. And
exactly. And then it's just, there's different visions. You wanting to go is not wrong. I mean, you're thinking, hey, you need to get more minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Him wanting to stay is not wrong.
Right.
So what we're doing is not for everyone. So I can't just call anybody up in the city of Houston. Trust me, I always have kids from out of town, and I want 10 kids from in town every year if I can get them.
Right.
We just have to get kids that are talented enough that are willing to be a part of the hoops. I want guys that want to be with us, and that goes a long way. Yeah. And it never was shown more than last year when we had perhaps maybe the least talented group as far as national rankings and all that go. And that team went the furthest of any team I've ever had during my tenure. We went to the Final Four of Peach Jam, and we lost by 3 to Mocan, who won the championship, and really had a chance to win that game too. So, the rankings are great, but getting guys to buy into what you're doing, and, it's my job to get them to understand that what we're doing is like a Division I college. I played at Baylor. I coached 5 years in college. I spent 10 years at that level. When I went to be a high school coach, that's how I did it. I didn't know any different. I practiced every day like we were at a Division I college, and our kids had to rise up to that. And so our expectations were kind of set every day. And when we were at Klein Collins, I mean, that's what those guys played as hard as anybody I've ever coached, because they just knew that's the way we did it. And, getting AAU guys to buy into, hey, if our team has success, I'm going to get what I want individually, and playing the game the right way, because we're going to get opportunities to play in front of a lot of college coaches and in front of a lot of national scouts that most people don't get, has really been something that we've been able to sell and our guys have bought into.
Awesome. What you got, Jim?
And Dean, what we do is we have a couple of questions, so we don't want them to start backlogging like it did yesterday on us. And we'll get some of these questions to you from a lot of our viewers on the Facebook feed as well as the YouTube feed. Guys, right now, if you're on Facebook, can you take out the time to share the show to your timelines, to some of your basketball hoop groups, or some of your friends who may want to get some of this intel, because we're going to cover a lot of stuff. We have Tim Schumacher up. We have 2 more guests from grassroots basketball. That are teams that are sponsored in part by sneaker conglomerates. Now, one question is, somebody asked, do you see yourself, Jeremy, of course, that's the questioner, asked, do you see yourself getting back into the high school coaching scene in Houston?
No, I don't have plans for that at this time. I did it for 12 years, and I love coaching high school, but I've moved on now in the last 10 years of doing it, and I'm able to get the coaching side out of it through AAU. And I've been able to, I work in the real world now, and financially it just helps my family. I'm in a good situation right now. Don't see me going back to high school coaching anytime soon, but you never know.
Next question is your starting five of Houston Hoops players since you've been there. Give us your starting five.
Oh,
and I'll give you a 6-man. That way now don't make it so hard.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's a good question. So I mean, you got to start with De'Aaron Fox on the point.
Let me write this down. D. Fox.
He's as special as it gets.
Okay.
Wow, on the wings, I'd say probably Justin Jackson, Justice Winslow. And we haven't had as many big guys like per se since I've been there. The Houston Hoops is, Kendrick Perkins and all kinds of big guys in the past. But in the years that I've been there, I mean, Kelly Oubre's got to be right in that mix. Probably Tyrese Maxey is right in that mix. And wow, that puts us in a close one. You got about 5 guys that could probably take the next spot. So anyway, but I love all our guys. I mean, it's not about them making it to the NBA. Right. It's just about them being happy and getting what they want out of basketball. And for some guys, it's the NBA. For some guys, it's not. And I just want our guys to be successful. And hopefully they walk out of our program and say that, you know what, playing for Coach Schumacher taught me a lot, and I grew up as a man. And then I learned a lot, and I got better as a player. And so in the end, we spend so much time together that they literally are family. So I see a lot of our guys after the fact, and it's like we never missed a beat. So it makes it a lot of fun. But in 9 years, we made it to the Peach Jam all 9 years, and we made it to the quarterfinals of Peach Jam or better 6 of the 9 years. So, very few programs in the country can say that.
Coach, I got another one from Chuck McGowan on the Facebook feed. He said, who was your best role player you coached on the hoop?
Wow, that's another good one. Kadeem Latin was a really good one for us. I call him a role player, but on that team, which was ranked number 1 in the country a lot of the year, he was a guy that kind of took a back seat offensively to Justice and Justin and Kelly and those guys all on that team, and De'Aaron was on that team. But Kadeem was the one blocking shots and rebounding and running the floor and finishing for us, and he just doesn't get the hype. He's one. I mean, guys like Junior Lofton last year for what our team did.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, come on now. I mean, as far as his role, Junior played about 16 minutes and averaged about 12 points, but we felt like as a staff that was best for Junior to get the most positive results over 7-8 games in 4 days. He needed that. So we kind of managed him throughout a tournament. Sometimes we don't play one game as good as we do a whole tournament. We're trying to manage an event and trying to win Peach Jam. And a great example was last year, we were playing Team Durant, and had we won the game or lost the game by 6 points or less, it was the same result for us advancing in Peach Jam. And so sure enough, we look up and we're down 2 with a minute to go, and I'm not playing to win. I'm playing to just get through this.
Yeah.
So we move on. It's all about advancing. So, that one game is different than managing an event. So, there's a big picture involved with what we're doing. Uh-huh. And we try to be as honest as we can with our parents. A lot of people in our world are telling them what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. And I try to tell them straight up front, this is what you can expect, and this is what's going to happen. And hopefully in the end, you're going to see the value in it.
Jimmy, I got one if you got one.
No, go on.
No, I got one. Stacy asked you, Stacy Houston from Dallas. He said, what do you think Bryce Griggs could gain from playing with the hoops on and off the court?
Okay, so Bryce, he's and he's on our team this year if we can ever get together. Obviously Bryce is a special player and a special talent, and but I've identified a few areas with him that I believe we need to emphasize to help him get what he wants out of this. And from our standpoint of it, we believe Bryce is an All-American, and we believe Bryce will be an All-American if he plays with us this year and he plays with us next year, and he continues to focus on the things that he's doing on his own, and then hopefully working together with us, we're able to help him on some of those things that we think can get him to be at that level. So Bryce is obviously, he's probably the best skilled player in the country in his class, and he's the smartest kid in the country in his class. And so those are two things that are very hard to teach. So getting those two things, he's really on the right track. So we're really excited to have him.
Okay. What you got, Jim?
Now, of course, Mo City asked you a couple of years back, you guys went and fielded a team that was primarily on the top end of Dallas Fort Worth area players. Mm-hmm. So he asked, what was the Dallas transition all about?
So what happened that year, and it's kind of funny. So we had not had a lot of success at the younger levels. And so we were trying, we went out to all the top players in the city and couldn't get any of them. Mm-hmm. That was a big part of it. It was like, whoa, these guys are telling us, no, they're not interested. They're playing with these other teams. So now we're looking at ourselves going, okay, we're trying to win Peach Jam on a national level, and we got to build a team. And the opportunity came up where there were 5 kids from Dallas that wanted to play together, and they were leaving their organization, and they were for a team. So they contacted us, and we started talking, and it was like, I've been able to make it work as a coach by keeping it simple and getting them to play hard and play together. So I try to get out of their way. And in AAU, it allows us to have 3 or 4 kids on a team from out of town. It allows me to be the coach with a group of 5 kids in Dallas, because once we get together, we only need 3 weekends and we're good, And then what happens with our teams is we always get better from April to July. Our teams improve because we have more time together. That just is a natural process. So actually, so that's how it came about is, we had reached out to a few guys in Houston in that 17U class that we felt like we needed to have to build a team that could compete at that level. And when very few of them were interested in the Houston hoops, we decided to go find guys elsewhere.
So bottom line, that particular summer, you reached out and you attempted to get.
We recruited guys on the phone. Yeah, we recruited guys, and we're starting that in the fall. But guys at that stage, they were already. It's real easy when you have a 14U team that's one of the top 5 in the country, or Clyde Jackson's a group at the 15U level right now is top 5 in the country, and they're our team. And when those guys grow up together and they stay together, but when we weren't having as much success at the younger level at that time, we had to go out and try to find guys. So we started in Houston, and when that doesn't happen, you got to go where you can go to get them, and we kind of do that anyway. We're not, typically with big guys, there's not a ton of big guys anyway. And so if the ones that are in Houston are playing with somebody else, we got to make a phone call to Shreveport, Louisiana, and try and get Robert Williams, and he's now playing with the Boston Celtics. So, we got to go do what we got to do to go kind of supplement, the talent level if the Houston guys don't want to play with us.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, of course, you guys keep the questions coming for Tim Schumacher. What do you have for him, for the Houston Hoops, or for grassroots basketball in a whole? Another one coming up here.
From Michael Jordan. The Michael Jordan on the Facebook feed, not the owner, not the owner from down there in Charlotte. But he said some, Coach. It clicked off the screen, but I got you. He said, Coach, what's the recruiting process for filling spots on a team like that? Are there tryouts, or are the players individually selected?
So it's a little bit of both. We have tryouts every year. But some years I'm looking for 4 or 5 kids, and some years I'm looking for 1 kid, and it just because we're building a team throughout the whole. It's a 12-year job for us. Christian Begg has been my right-hand guy with the hoops for years, and
yes.
He's my guy on the ground in November, December at every high school game he can get to. And of course, now his kid's a really good player in the 8th grade.
Real good.
And so his time is getting taken up a little more. But there are guys that are a part of our program where we're trying to get guys. I'm going to make calls to guys as early as probably late August, early September, trying to build for next year. So, it happens. And so we start there, and then we go to the tryout process. Great example of the tryout process. We had a team of 9, 10 guys, and I didn't think we needed anybody. Had a tryout. Cedric Alley from Klein Forest came to it, and I looked at his mom. I said, look, there's not a lot of time for him here in April. I said, but if you come with us, there's no doubt we can help Cedric get better. Playing with our guys every day is going to make him better. And I think there's a huge opportunity that by July, he's going to get what he wants out of this. And so Cedric in March, I'm literally calling Southland Conference schools to offer him a scholarship, and nobody will. And it's like, okay, guys, and they go watch him in April, and he's not playing much. Well, it's not his fault he's not playing. It's just that we had too many guys, okay? So by the time July rolls around, Cedric's starting at Peach Jam. He's offered by Oregon State, Texas A&M, Houston. I mean, and it's a guy that averaged 5 minutes a game in April for the Houston Hoops. And that's the value of playing in the EYBL, playing with the Hoops. You don't have to play 30 minutes a game. If you can get 15 minutes and you play well, it's all going to pay off. Exactly.
Coach, I can testify to that, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it. So it's just – and you know, my deal is one thing about it is it's all about respect, and we respect our guys. We treat them with respect, and we expect them to respect our staff. So it starts there, and when you have that relationship that builds between, you know, the staff and the kids, boy, I'll tell you what, if they'll run through a wall for you, you got a chance to win any game, especially with Houston kids because we're as talented as anybody.
What you got?
And now speaking of when you're going back a little bit and talking about, we mentioned about the Dallas players back in summer 2018. One of the questions is, what are you guys doing now to prevent that situation from happening again? And I think you've already touched into that. I just wanted to present.
No, that's a great question. So we identified before that year that it was a problem with what we were doing, and that our operations side of basketball had to improve so that we did not have to do that again. So Clyde Jackson is now, we got him a part of the Hoops, and Christian Begg's a part of the Hoops. They both have young teams that are really talented, and we're trying to get those guys at that 13, 14, 15 level that have been playing with the Hoops for 2 or 3 years, and that's just what they want to be a part of. And it's inevitably you're going to lose a guy here or there to something else. Yeah. But the reality of it is, if you have a main group of kids that you can move up. If we can move 5 or 6 kids up at every age, now you're only filling in at my age. I got to fill in 2 or 3 kids. You know, it's not a big deal. And we just, you know, we got in a situation where we literally had to fill a whole team, and weren't having any luck with the Houston kids we were trying to get at that time. And I should say this: give credit to Donovan Williams and Kim Williams, because they bought into what we were doing.
Oh yes.
And they signed up as the only Houston kid on that team.
That's right.
And boy, what a great role player Donovan was for us, and ended up getting a University of Texas scholarship out of it. So I think it was great for them. And, you know, but Stretch is a great kid, and I think he's really going to impact Texas over the next few years.
So Tim,
what you got, Jimmy?
No, I wanted to ask him about that on that topic before we move. Go. So Tim, when you are conversing with the parents,
yes,
or the kids, first I want to ask you a twofold question. Do you go through the kids, through the parents, through the high school coach? That's question number one. Secondly, when it comes to a kid, let's say we mentioned like a Cedric Alley or a Donovan Williams, do you explain or give them the disclaimer that as far as what their role could be beforehand?
And that might be why I lose kids, because I'm honest. I mean, I'm not telling them what they want to hear. I'm telling them this is how it's going to be, and this is what you can expect to see as a result of it, hopefully in 4 or 5 months, if everything goes well. And so I was very honest with Kim, and I start with the parents. You know, kids are kids, and I'm going to have conversations with adults. And when we get introduced to the kids and we start working the kids, sometimes people in our organization have relationships with kids throughout the years, so then they'll recruit the kids. But for the most part, we like to go to the parents because it's a family decision, and we try to recruit both the families and the kid.
And I saw a couple of them, Coach. I'm trying to see which one I want to go to, because a guy, he said they were talking about Mr. Mo City. He said, yes, indeed, this is H-Town, not D-Town. Got to have H-Town kids from Houston Hoops. But you attempted to get the guys from Houston.
We tried, and none of them were interested in playing with us. So what do you do? I mean, I'm trying to win a national championship.
Yes.
So, I mean, our team this year that went to the Final Four in Peach Jam, our leading scorer was from San Antonio. And I had no idea when I got Langston Love, he was going to be our leading scorer. I mean, when I got him and he started practicing with us, I said, wow, he's special. You know, but when we were recruiting him, we thought, as a sophomore, he'll be a good piece, you know. And then we got him, and he just emerged as the leading scorer on that team, you know. But, you know, I've always had anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 out-of-town kids, just because there's too many teams in Houston and there's a lot of good programs and they're all doing good things, you know. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be in existence for as long as they are and having the success they've had. So, you know, but what we're doing is, and everything that I do is to prepare these guys for the next level so that when they step foot on the campus, they are ready to play. What we're teaching them, how we're coaching them is just like they're going to be when they're at a Division I school. And that, to me, is my job and responsibility as a coach part of it.
And, Coach, I got one more little part to that one. Otis Lanier, he feels it's a tough question, but he don't know you just going to knock it out of the park. He said, ask him the tough question. Do you think AAU basketball, he used AAU basketball. See, that's what some people don't, as in the beginning of the show, people are used to saying this word. AAU basketball. Otis, you said it earlier in the show, but we got a police on the screen that says you shouldn't say it. It's more important that, and here the question is, do you think AAU basketball is more important than high school basketball since you've coached both?
That's a great question. So I was a college coach. So then I had to come to grips that the game's the same. So I went to high school and it's just a different level. So I did that. And now it's the same game, but now it's just a different experience because I don't have them 5 days a week. I got them 2 days a week. And a lot of times in AAU on Tuesday night, this guy doesn't show up. And on Thursday night, that guy doesn't show up. So you only have 9 guys each night and they're different guys. So it's hard to really be as complex as you want to be in AAU. But here's the deal. They're both really good for the kids. And if you get a good high school coach, he's really helping him grow up as a person over 4 years and get better as a player over 4 years. And what we're able to do, though, is put them on that stage that's very difficult for most high school teams to do and get them the exposure that they need and put them against the best players in the country. I mean, we feel like the EYBL has the best players in the country, and it's an opportunity for guys maybe that are under the radar to go toe-to-toe with top 100 players and show them I'm better than them. It's an opportunity for guys that are top 50 players to go against All-American types and go show, hey, I should be an All-American. So, I mean, you can't get that in high school, and it's very difficult to get. So Nike's just a tremendous platform for us to be able to showcase those guys in that way.
Indeed. And Melvin asked, is that an issue with the class of 2021 being less talented than other classes?
So I don't think our class is less talented. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with our AAU, I say grassroots. It's like, hey, I need a Coke to drink, Hatter. It's just a soda, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I hope we get together July and August and are able to play. And I think the NCAA is committed to trying to make something happen if we can get there. But it's like I said to one of our parents yesterday, if they don't play, all these colleges, they still need to get those kids in for the next year. They're going to need 2021 classes, of coming in as freshmen. So the scholarships are still out there. The opportunities are still out there. It's just going to happen a little differently. They'll probably be able to get out more in the, in December, January, February, if for some reason it's pushed to that late. The coaches will be able to get out there and they'll have to see the kids then. So, but right now we're sticking to our guns that we're going to be able to get our guys in a gym and get together and hopefully play for a national championship.
Now, a lot of people really, they hear the EYBL, they hear about the sneaker ball, yep. and it's kind of confuses so many people because there's just one player that may have led his varsity in scoring. He may have been named all district. Yeah. He may have even got all region to where he's in certain schools and certain classifications, hell, all state. And then there in their mind, they say, well, I got the accolades that are the equivalent as far as the high school than the next guy. Then why can't I play? I feel like I'm ready to play on that circuit. What's on the other side of the hill? Can you just explain every team pretty much in the EYBL? How many would you guess? Let's
say this.
Power 5 prospects on each team.
Okay, so last year, I think the Vegas Elite team had 9 top 100 players on their team alone. So what I like to say is, like, last spring, the ESPN came out with their top 100 juniors, top 50 or top 60 sophomores, and top 25 freshmen. And of those 185 kids, 121 of them are in the EYBL. So pretty much every team has a couple top 100 kids minimum. And, it's just an opportunity to play against the best players in the country. And when that happens, all the college coaches at the highest level are in that gym because they can watch one team here, one team there, one team here without leaving the site. So it creates an opportunity to get the best players, put them in a facility, have great organizations involved that are coaching them and doing it right in grassroots basketball, and then give the college coaches an opportunity to see them all on one Saturday. They can watch from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and see a lot of the top players in the country.
Adam?
No, I'm good, Coach. Wait,
Well,
I see a couple of questions, Coach. Coach,
I have one. I'll talk to you while you're looking up one. And if somebody asked, was a very good question. What does the Houston Hoops do with their kids off the court? Yes. What do you provide for the players and within your organization?
That's a good question. We've had years where we've offered tutoring for kids. It's harder. It's an economic situation when it comes to that sometimes, but so we can't do it every year. It just depends on the budget that we've been able to raise some money or whatever. So, but for me, I don't get anything out of this except trying to help guys get where they want to be. And in the end, off the floor is a big part of that. So we're helping them through, and they're facing challenges and adversity with us they don't normally face, because we're getting the guys that are scoring 30 points on their high school team, and now with us, he may be coming off the bench, and he's not used to that, but again, that prepares him for college, because most freshmen go into college as a role player. They don't go in as an impact guy every day. That's not the norm. So, I just think, we spend a lot of time with our guys off the floor and trying to help prepare them in situations and talking to them and just being a family with them. And, it's a lot more than basketball for us, and it's about helping them grow up and get what they want in life.
Coach, I got one more for you. It was a little while back, Jeremy. I didn't forget it. I put it in my phone. He said, what is the news regarding, and you might have, I don't think you've answered this. What is the news regarding EYBL events during the pandemic? Will there be a season this summer at all?
Yeah, and I think that's the magic question, and I think everything's speculation at this time. All I can do is say at this time, we are shut down, and we're not doing anything right now. We're hoping to be able to get together in June sometime, and we're hoping to be able to play EYBL events in July or August. Just depends on if the NCAA makes that something that's a possibility. But the reality of it is right now there's something way bigger than basketball going on. And so we're taking a back seat right now, and we're just here to support our families and kind of, I'm staying in contact with them. We've had a conference call. We have text group messages, and we check in every once in a while. And so we're just here and trying to get our people through it and help them any way they can.
We don't have. You got one more?
No, I'm good.
and I'm looking at you. I'm trying to get
my sister is walking in and bothering us right now.
Okay. I'm
Come on.
I'm looking now. I'm trying to get a question from somebody who hadn't asked one already, and that's what I was doing right then. But anyway,
Coach, come on. I got a lot of them, Jimmy.
How can they get in touch with you if people have more questions about the Houston Hoops program, about EYBL, about grassroots, period?
Yeah, you can get on HoustonHoops.com, our website, and has information about contacting us. And people send emails all the time. The problem with that is like I get emails like last week about tryouts, and our tryouts. I mean, typically, if you want to be involved in our tryouts for most of our teams, I mean, they're happening. Information's coming out in December, January about trying out. Now, I'm the rare grassroots basketball guy that used to be a high school coach in Houston, so I don't believe in us working out during the high school season because I don't want my guys getting hurt, rolling an ankle on a Sunday with me, and they're in the playoffs that next week. So we typically at the older level start later, but people usually send us emails in December, January. We usually come out with kind of a plan like, hey, we're going to have tryouts towards the end of February as the high school seasons are getting finished.
I got another quick one for you, Coach. Melvin Dews, He said every youth sport has its flaws. What's one of the biggest flaws that coaches that you see with grassroots sports, and how would you fix it?
Wow, that's a good
Great
question.
question.
Yeah, I think it's just a different environment. We've been fortunate that, I believe as a coach, and I believe this when I was coaching high school, guys are leaving schools, going to other schools, transferring. I'm like, hey, if we're doing a good job with our kids and they want to be here, they don't want to leave. And so I just think that's one of the most difficult things in AAU is a guy could show up this week and then next week he decides to go somewhere else. And the week after that, he's playing with somebody else. And so trying to get people to understand the value of hey, sticking it out. There's going to be some adversity and it's not always perfect, but we're here as a staff to work together with the parents and the kid, that from March to July, there's going to be ups and downs, and we're going to help them through the bad parts, and we're going to keep them level-headed when it's going good, and just kind of try to keep focusing on getting better every day. I think that's, to me, the biggest challenge, and we've been able to kind of tackle that pretty good, but it happens every day in AAU where guys are bouncing.
And lastly, we got about 45 seconds. Somebody asked a pretty good question. Is Hal Pastner still involved with the Houston Hoops?
Absolutely. It's Hal's show. I'm just here, and me and Christian and Clyde are running it for him every day. But people, I don't know if people know this, but Hal lost everything in Hurricane Harvey.
That's right.
And lost, he had a 2-story house and water was in the second story and his car was flooded and everything. So when he decided at his age, with his kids being adults and with grandkids, he rebuilt in Atlanta, where Josh is the head coach at Georgia Tech and his daughter's in Florida, so he can be closer to his family. So when that happened, there was real need for me to kind of take on a bigger role than just being the coach and kind of become more of a guy that can be the boots on the ground and eyes and ears here in Houston, kind of running it. So it's been great, and it's Hal Pastner's world, and I'm just appreciative of the fact that we get a chance to be in it.
Well, hey, Tim, man, we definitely appreciate you chopping it up with us on the Chop Shop, and I'm quite sure you got a chance to enlighten a lot of viewers out there about the fabric and of the Houston Hoops, as well as the grassroots basketball from your perspective, and high school as well. We thank so much, man. We appreciate everything and knocked out the park, man. Great job.
Thank you, Coach.
Always appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. I mean, hey, guys, that's Tim Schumacher. And you guys, good questions. Get them with. But guess what? We don't stop. We keep it flowing. And we're going to go slide on the 45 to DFW. Well, we have Jeff Webster sitting right on cue, and he's ready. He's with the Nike Pro Skills program out of Dallas. And this program here is taking the country by storm. A lot of people, came. And here's Jeff. Understand something. One thing about it, when he walks in the room, of all of the guests today, he's definitely the most towering figure. and that is without question. I mean, he has a relationship. I mean, understand, we're gonna go through everything, but let's get right into it. What does Pro Skills, how did you come up with that name?
Actually my sister came up with the name.
Okay.
Really?
I was kind of on the tail end of my career, and my background was, my high school coaches, they believed in skill training. We did it relentless. And then I just wanted to do something back, to help kids. And my sister came up with the name on the tail end of my, playing career. And boom, here we are today.
And how long have you been in existence with Pro Skills? And just give a little people the intel. What was the name of your program before Pro Skills?
Well, actually, we've been around almost 20 years.
Okay.
So, but we started as Pro Skills Training because all I wanted to do was train. I didn't really want to get into the coaching, deal. I just believed it was easier for me to get in the gym for a couple hours a day and get home to my family. And then, as we begin to build, one thing led to another, which you guys know, the Texas Titans came calling. And, everybody thinks that, the Texas Titans, Pro Skills was still around, but we were just, had one team. There were young kids, and it was easy to manage. And, I committed to the Texas Titans for 10 years, but I knew as soon as I finished with that relationship, it was time for me to go ahead and, push forward with Pro Skills.
Awesome.
Hannah?
No, I'm good.
And once again, guys, this is Jeff Webster with Nike Pro Skills, and you feel free to pose any questions that you may have about grassroots basketball, EYBL, or even Nike Pro Skills for that matter. This is an opportunity to help you understand the program, what he does, and also to get some of your questions answered that you probably thought you never had opportunity to get and connect with him. This is your opportunity. Let's get them popping now. What is in the course of a grassroots season financially? What's the ballpark of the range that, because a lot of people may understand of that it takes to go, let's say, a 17U team. What's normally the budget?
Well, I don't want to scare anybody because it's expensive, but I not only have a boys EYBL program, I have a girls.
That's right.
So it's when you combine the two, you really have to be committed to it because listen, anybody can have a team, but if you really want to do it at a high level, you have to be committed. And everybody thinks Nike is giving us $1 million+ and I wish they would.
Yeah.
But you really have to be committed because at the end of the day, why are you doing it? There's so many families out there that parents just don't understand the process and what it takes, and it's just more than getting on the floor. There's a recruiting side, there's a financial side. I mean, and then you have kids that come from all walks of life, boys and girls.
I like that. I like the way you did that, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way, yeah. I mean, it ain't about, you got to be committed. In other words, if the faint of heart is very expensive. I've had the pleasure of not having assistance of Nike, having franchise all-stars. And I knew how expensive it was, Coach. So, and I don't even like to talk about it. Because it seemed like when I go back and look at it, because I still got the receipts, Coach. They still on my computer. And when I get back and I just said, and all I do, Coach, I realized how committed I was. And people said, really, why I did it? I had a son. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. If little Robert wasn't involved and had to benefit from, I'm not telling y'all I would have spent that kind of money. I'm just going to, so don't you think I'm so noble, Robert? You're no. So yeah, go on, Jeff.
The toughest thing is, when you get into this business, because it is a business.
Yes.
Most of the time, you have a kid, a son or a daughter. I was doing this before my kids could even play. Because, when I finished playing, I wanted to give back. And, honestly, my background, I'm not even from Texas. And then, I grew up in Oklahoma and everybody thinks I'm really from Oklahoma. No, my roots come from Arkansas.
Oh.
So,
what part, Coach?
Pine Bluff.
Keep going.
So, that's where my roots come from. But, I'm happy where I am. And, we're happy what we're doing. But, the thing for me is not just Jeff Webster. I'm honestly just a part of the process. I have so many different, coaches that's been with me, great parents that supported what we've done. So, that's why I'm always kind of in the background. If you notice, it's not about me. And, I tell everybody right now, the toughest thing, if you want to do what I do, try to do it without having kids because, you'll come under attack. Listen, I coached my son all the way through. I fired myself from coaching my daughter because I was like, whoa, I just can't handle it. But, it's probably one of the hardest things, trying to direct a program because, what, they don't, I can take it. I'm a big guy.
Right.
But, your kids come up under attack and, they're innocent in the whole deal. But, I wouldn't change anything because, hey, I played at a high level. I know what it's about. It's tough. This is a business. And, our biggest deal is, what are we leaving the kids with? Because when you come over here, the people that's been here, you have to earn it. It's hard. And everybody's different. And that's the biggest part because, I tell all the kids from day one, everybody's a starter here. I mean, everybody's a starter, but just not here. but you have to earn it.
I like that,
You
Jeff.
know, so I mean, you know, it's you learn, and you know, I'm still learning.
Right.
You know, I learn every day. I mean, I'm not. Hey, we make more mistakes. I raise my hand. I tell everybody, hey, I'm gonna be the first one to make a mistake, but we're gonna try to fix it. And you know, listen, it's impossible to make everybody happy. We try to. That's probably one of our biggest weaknesses because we hate, you know, not pleasing people, but it's impossible.
Well, Jeff, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show today because I mean what I know about you, how isolated you are. You don't really do this kind of stuff. So I know it's a testament to us, Jimmy and I, that you came on this show. I mean, even Stacy just said, Jeff, don't do this kind of stuff. He'd like it to be about the kids. So I would just like, man, just thank you, man, for coming on and gracing us with you. Because guess what, Jeff? People need to know there's guys out there like you. People need to know your personality, Jeff. Jeff, some guy told me the other day, one day, he said, Hatter, you wasn't accessible. I didn't realize it because I thought all my friends I'm cool with. But if I don't know you, Jeff, I'm not just walking in the room talk. So guys were saying I was stuck up and I was this. No, I just, dude, I talk all the damn time. So when sometimes I just want to chill. And but I just love that you came on, man. I know what you're going through right now. I appreciate it, baby. You
Well, you
coming on
know,
the show.
listen, hey, I don't listen. People that know me, I'm simple.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, I'm not confrontational, but you know, I did play, so you know, I do have another side, and I try to stay away from that side. I am competitive. You know, I coach hard. You know, I'm about accountability. I'm old school. You know, I tell everybody, listen, everybody here signs 1-day contracts. So if you don't like it, we understand.
One day, Jeff.
And 1-day contracts, and if you don't like it, you got an opportunity. You know, you may have to find somewhere else, you know, that fits you. And you know, we don't say that. You know, listen,
In a bad way.
I have guys that I trust that's been with me, and they know how we get down. At the end of the day, we care about the kids, but everybody's different. You know, I just take it, man. Listen, I was blessed. How I made it, it was a God sent because, you know, I came from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. My dad was in the military. You know, we grew up poor, but we was hard-working country folks, and basketball was just something that I really didn't start until the 8th grade. So when parents talk about making it and having an opportunity, when I look back, I don't know how I made it. You know, my mom getting on her knees, the grace of God, having good people that was a vehicle to help me is why I'm standing today. And it's my job to try to give people or kids and families what I have inside of me. And that's why it's not about me, you know, because at the end of the day, listen, I don't need my name in the paper. I don't need my name, you know, there's a lot of people that come up and say, you know, who are you? I kind of like that, you know, because, you know, man, listen, I have some great young guys that's taking this thing and, you know, I'm going to transition eventually because at the end of the day, I tell people, I really just want to go out and shake hands and kiss babies because the coaching side, you know, you take so much scrutiny and you the bad guy and you lose so many relationships, you know, when you're sitting in that front seat because it's impossible to make everybody happy.
Wow.
Now, in Nike Pro Skills, a lot of your coaches, they're volunteers, right?
Yes.
And I noticed most of them are high school head coaches around your area. What's just elaborate on that a little bit and tell us, does that make a huge difference in your program, having those high school coaches?
Well, you know, head coaches, assistant coaches, or just, you know, high school teachers, because, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, you guys know to have a successful program, you got to have successful people, you know, that supports what you do. And in our world, you know, you always hear that high school coaches, you know, they don't like select AAU, whatever y'all want to call it, coaches. And I've always felt like, it's important to have a relationship with them. Because, Coach, I get that we never try to put kids in harm's way. During the season, we don't touch kids. Because if I was a high school coach and you got one of my kids and they go out and pull a hamstring or roll an ankle, I'm going to be hot. So I've always felt the respect, to have a relationship with high school coaches, to know what we're doing. We always tell high school coaches, come see what we're doing on the weekend. We offer some of them, if you want to come travel, come support your kid, because at the end of the day, we want that kid to go back to their program. And, a lot of high school coaches are threatened because they feel like, some guys in the business, trying to get kids to change schools and all of that. Listen, I'm not a part I'm not a part of that. We're loyal guys. We just want to do our part to help. And I just think when you bring in the high school coaches or, guys, kids that's people that's in administration or whatever it is, it just brings you instant credibility.
And what you got?
Oh, no, I'm good. Oh, no, I thought about something, Jeff. It's just when you were talking, you have multiple Nike sponsored teams in Dallas. It's two of y'all.
Yes.
They don't have one, but one here in Houston. They used to have two here in Houston. I mean, could you?
Well, JL3 is one, but they don't have a 17.
I'm talking about 17. Excuse me.
Yeah. Okay.
17 under teams. Okay. 17 under teams. Y'all have two in Dallas. And
last summer we had 3.
Wow, that's right. And last summer you had 2. Could you explain that dynamic to me? Is it that Houston is the largest city, but Dallas had that much more talent? Because let me tell you something. When parents, in case you didn't understand, the EYBL was not devised, and the concept didn't come about saying, we're going to get little Johnny and little Ray and let them come. We're going to spend all of this money on 40 teams and let them come and play around. No, Nike trying to find the next LeBron, the next Kobe, the next Kevin Durant. That's what their goal is, right? So I'm trying to explain. So we had 2 here in Houston. We had Texas Pro, and we had the Houston Hoops, always been there. But I'm just, Jeff, me not knowing from your side, I just like to hear from guys in your position, because I never asked Tim this, but how does that happen? That Houston, one team, and hold up, in 1 year, hold on, we didn't even have enough guys to fill a team that we wanted. We had to go and use some guys from Dallas. Could you explain that dynamic as best you can for me?
Well, at the end of the day, I don't make the rules. We just play by them.
Right.
And, that's a question that, we've asked a few times. Okay. But, our whole motto is, if you worry about what everybody else is doing, you lose. So, over here at Pro Skills, we worry about what Pro Skills has to do. Regardless how many teams is here, there's a lot of talent. Now, you have to be very creative of how you go obtain it, and you have to find the type of kids that fit your program. If it's 2 here or if it's 3 here or, however many it's around the country, I don't really make that decision. But, we knew going into it. Last year we knew we had 2, but then when the 3rd came in, it was like, wow, we have 3 teams just in the city. And but it's just a, strategic way on, how you obtain your talent. Now, listen, we're going to have to get out on the road and border state. And, like I say, hey, I'm originally from Arkansas, grew up in Oklahoma, live in Texas. And so now you just have to be creative to fill the type of team that fits, what you're trying to do. Because, some teams, they just want, all the top ranked guys. Well, for me, it's hard to coach all of them at one time. Mm-hmm. So, you have to have the right talent to make the right team.
Yeah. And speaking of the Dallas thing, of course, summer of 2018, DFW had 3 Nike sponsored 17U teams, and not to mention an Under Armour and a couple of Adidas as well. Well, what was the overall sentiment? In other words, how pissed off was the city to see 3 or 4 of your top kids go and play with the Houston Hoops that summer?
Well, I don't really think, I can talk from our side, it's nothing to, really piss off about, because, those kids and those parents made a decision on what they felt was best for them. I don't really, honestly, man, there is no Dallas-Houston war with Jeff Webster, because, I respect you guys, I respect, the Dallas, I respect Arkansas, I respect Oklahoma, I respect Louisiana, because at the end of the day, our whole motto, I can tell you what 2 kids are going to do. I can tell you what my son going to do. I can tell you what my daughter going to do. But outside of that, you really can't, you don't know what conversations are going on in, other households. People have to make decisions what they feel is best for them. And at the time, we knew that, the kids from Dallas had all been playing together. And, we had conversations, but, we started forming our teams. Listen, if you have a core group of kids, if you got 4 or 5 kids, you already have a core. Well, that group from Dallas had a core group of kids also. So they were looking to, bring all their talent and keep it together. And it was understandable for us. So it wasn't no hard blood, because, at the end of the day, we still had to play each other. So it's healthy competition.
Right.
Somebody's going to win. I tell everybody there's a 50-50 chance for everybody. And I believe that year we did play everybody, and we came out pretty good.
It's good.
Indeed.
We got another one for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's so unique. Stacy, wanted to jab at you, Stacy Houston. He said, yeah, it's easy for you to cut out now, and hand the reins over to the young guy. You can go to Hawaii and watch your son anytime you want to play. And, Jeff, I love that. I wish I had thought of that, Jeff, because that's a good one. And but on another note, that's a lighter note, but on another note, what changes would you make in grassroots basketball if you were the czar, if you were the Condoleezza Rice and the Grant Hills, and you had your commission? What changes would you make in grassroots basketball to make it a better situation? You've been around it so long.
Well, I think the number one change I would make is more commitment, because, as we know, the portal today in college is ridiculous. I think that starts when kids are younger. There has to be some type of commitment clause in there. If you start with a team, you have to finish with that team at the end of the year. Because I think it starts when they're young. And, I would start with having more classes, education classes with the parents, because, nobody's going to get their way. It's no difference in the job. You got to do your job. And, hey, there's always going to be a CEO. There's going to be a president. There's going to be a GM or whatever. So there's roles. And I think with the grassroots side, we just have to do more educational things to educate the parents on what this process really is. Your kid may not be good today or may not be the best kid as an 8th grader, but he still has time. And then when they become a junior, you may come off the bench, but that's not the end of the whole deal, because, I tell my son and daughter, listen, you're going to get what you get. Don't come up here crying. Don't tell me that, you didn't get to play. Don't tell me that you're coming off the bench, because I taught mine, listen, you control your own destiny. If you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to have an opportunity. But if you're equal, you're going to lose. So that's the same thing that I think it starts, when the kids and the parents, they get into this, when they're young, and you teach them that, because there's no perfect situation. So I just would change the rules to listen, regardless, boys, girls, if you're in the 2nd grade, 3rd grade, it would be a rule. Listen, if you start with a program, unless it's something detrimental, you got to finish.
Now, I want to ask you about, get into about like the recruitment. First, do a lot of the players in your program, are you engaged? Do you assist with their recruitment when the college coaches come? And number two is, the other day we had the patriarch of a lot of the black head coaches in college basketball. We had Leonard Hamilton on, and it was a great convo.
And he recruited me when I was in high school.
He recruited you in high. What school he was at then?
Oklahoma State.
Wow. And so looking at his, and he put out his resume, and it was like, I went back and watched this show twice, and I got to thinking, I'm like, you know, a lot of these players are the McDonald's All-Americans in abundance. You know, of course he's had some. How do guys like you that run programs, is there ever a conscious effort to try to help or assist by way of just giving them, you know, reaching out to them, coach, you know, because a lot of times I talk to those coaches and they say, well, sometimes grassroots coaches will steer them to the players that they want them to recruit, not necessarily the player that they want. So my bottom line is there a conscious effort to try to at least help some of those type of head coaches around the country?
Well, I think it's you can look at it a lot of different ways. You know, this past year, you know, listen, it wasn't hard to recruit Michael Peavy. You know, everybody knew who he was. You know, it just came down to how many schools that he was going to put into, you know, on his list. You know, but then I had another kid from Arkansas that nobody knew about, KK Robinson.
Yeah.
He had one offer. But, you know, he played his way into, you know, a 4-star. I believe he's a 5-star kid. But then you have the other kids that are still good players, because we recruit a little different because, you know, we trust our eyes. You know, you can look at somebody's, you know, ranking, which I believe, you know, you guys do a great job. And a lot of guys here in Dallas, they do a great job, but you still have to trust yourself. And you have to see what style, because we play a unique style. And you have to be willing to play team basketball. And because it's not just about one individual. We haven't had success because, you know, listen, hey, I hadn't had a Michael Jordan on my team, but he still needed Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and all those kids. So, I mean, you know, what we do is, you know, our kids get recruited. Coaches are called. We didn't have to really do anything with Michael Peavy and when the stuff with KK started. But then we had kids, you know, that's not as recruited, and a lot of them had great seasons. So you have to get on the phone and you have to sell these kids to these coaches. But, you know, myself, we know that, you know, coaches are just fishing. You know, they have a list. You know, they have a needs list of their top guys, and it's just it's a pecking order. So when they call us, I will not lie. I tell coaches the truth about a kid. And we try to sell all our kids because at the end of the day, we want them all to go somewhere where they have a good fit. You know, now, I'm not going to lie, a lot of kids have big eyes. You know, listen, you know, who doesn't want to go play at Kentucky?
Right.
You know, who doesn't want to go play at, you know, Kansas or whatever? I can't make that decision. And honestly, you know, we always ask our kids, well, you know, give us your wish list. And sometimes it blows us away. But one thing that I don't do, we never kill a kid's dream. You know, if you feel you can go play there, if they're not recruiting you, you know, that should kind of tell you something.
Jeff, I got a question for you. I want to know this one too. Frank White on the YouTube feed, he said, what are the credentials of a 5-star basketball player?
You know what? That's a tough one for me to answer because you never know. Honestly, I don't know how I was a 5-star. I was a 5-star. I grew up in Oklahoma. Wow. You know, smaller city. But you know what? I had a great high school coach. I could play a little bit. You know, I was lucky to be a McDonald's All-American. That's kind of one of those. I think the game today, so many people worry about rankings and what star you are. Man, I care about what type of, number one, kid you are. and then what type of player you are and how hungry you are. Because just because, man, if you're a 2-star, 3-star, if you don't have no star, that doesn't mean you can't play. And the way that we recruit, man, we go recruit kids that can get the job done. And we've been successful with those type of kids because, I mean, listen, it's not like we're not going to try to recruit the 5-star. We want them. But you got to be willing to come in and humble yourself and buy in to, team.
Now, a while ago, Tim Schumacher, he mentioned his supporting his other coaches in the staff with the Houston Hoops. He mentioned Clyde Jackson and Christian Begg, how important it was. But there's one guy that is out there in them streets, getting it done with pro skills, and that is tell us who that person is and what does he mean. How easy does it make it for you? This one man. That's my man, and that is
Tommy McGee. He's listen, he's my brother. I mean, he gets it done. Honestly, that's why I said it's not just me. I got Tommy McGee, I got Eric Clark, a guy that came in last year, Eddie Hill. We have guys that's on the younger teams. I have high school head coaches. I have guys in the middle school. We have so many, and I don't want to, I got to be careful mentioning too many names because I know I'm going to forget, and I don't want to get anybody upset because I didn't mention the name. So, we have a slew of coaches, on the boys' side, and we have doubled on the girls' side.
Wow.
And so, I mean, we're a family. We all get along because, we have one mission. It's family. And it's we all stick together. But, you mentioned in Tommy because, he's in the streets.
Yeah.
He's calling y'all.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll call him. Honestly, he'll tell me who we have. And
right.
The guys he just tells me to sit back and we have a board in the office and he comes in and he's writing them on the board and, we get on the phone. A lot of times, we'll get in the car and he'll just drive. He'll say, sit back and we're going to go find the type of kids that we need. And, it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
And sometimes, that piece doesn't fit all the time and you just have to move them around. But, Tommy McGee, man, Eric Clark, those guys have been with me from day one. They're brothers. I love them because one thing about it, they make my life easier because they have my back. And honestly, they keep all the pressure away from me because, there's certain things they just not going to let happen.
I like that.
Amen. And well said, and Jeff. And now, how can people follow you if they want more info about Nike Pro Skills, the program, boys or girls? That is, give them your intel that you want to.
NikeProSkills.com. We have an inquiry, a link on there. We get emails every day from middle school, elementary, boys, girls. Of course, everybody wants to play on the EYBL circuit, which, hey, you should want to set your bar high. But, we typically have tryouts, January, February. But, hey, the situation we're in right now, who knows? Who knows what the outcome is going to be? But, hey, we're just trying to stay ready, man. Locked and loaded. And whatever happens, man, because right now it's important for us to make sure that, our kids are getting recruited even though they're not playing right now.
Oh, good.
And definitely, man, we definitely appreciate you for taking out the time to come and share your program and your insight to a lot of the viewers on the Chop Shop today, man. We appreciate that and look forward to seeing you guys later on in the fall or the summer, whenever they release the hounds, as far as as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. But once again, guys, that is Jeff Webster with Nike Pro Skills out of the DFW area. Thanks a bunch, Jeff, for your time, man. Thanks.
Thank you, big fella.
That is indeed, guys.
Push that red button you were scared to push earlier.
Man, I was pushing it, man. It didn't work.
And of course,
man.
and coming up next, we're going to do now, guys, is ask you if you're on the Facebook feed, take out the time to share the show right now to your timelines. And if you have a basketball group that you may be a member of, share it with them. If you have friends, certain friends, you're going there, share this with them. And because this is some good dialogue. And understand, especially on what we call this Thursday, we normally on the Chop Shop, we call it Baby Friday. Because, we broadcast Monday through Thursday. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're streaming live on YouTube simultaneously. So those of you that's on the Facebook feed, you can take out the time after the show and cruise over to the YouTube page and just subscribe to our page. It doesn't cost a dime. It's not nothing like that. Just that way now, that way, sometimes the difference is if you're on YouTube, you can still text and do other things, multitask. A lot of times on the Facebook feed, you won't be able to do that as convenient as watching on the YouTube. Conversation is going on both of them, and we will address as many of your questions as we can to you guys. But coming up next, this guy is a living legend, not just in the state of Louisiana, but around the United States of America. We're talking about a McDonald's All-American, an All-American, played in the league, has been on the coaching staff at the Division I level, and now he's teaching and coaching high school in New Orleans, as well as the director of one of the top programs in that, not only the state, but in the southwest region of the country. And this is with you today, joining us, is Randy Livingston.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, put D. Randy Livingston in front of his name. D. Randy Livingston. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, thanks for having me. You guys are having a great show today, man. I've been enjoying listening to
thank you, man.
both
thank
you guys.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Hey, we just, you know what? We just having legend after legend after legend on this show. I guess we're gonna call this the Legend Month, Jimmy. But Randy, I'm so glad when I saw your name pop on the screen. He said, "Make sure I reach out to you." Man, it just warmed my heart because you're a guy. I always followed your career, and barring injury, probably been you and Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, three of the guys barring injury could have changed some things in the record book. So, we're just glad that if people don't know, he's Googleable. So go and Google.
Indeed. A lot of people, you'd be surprised every day there's somebody that really don't know.
Yeah.
And just take us back to your days of high school so that people understand what these players nowadays, they go, you didn't have the luxury of the social media when you came out of high school.
No.
What would Randy Livingston, first of all, tell us what high school you went to, college, where you played in the, professionally, but then what would the Randy Livingston then in high school, how would he fare against today's high school guards?
Oh, that's an interesting question. From myself, just being always confident in my own ability, I still put myself up there with the very best. The thing about it is also, when Mike come out with this Last Dance now, it brings up a lot of memories. And I was telling somebody the other day, I felt like during that time, and when I look at that Last Dance documentary in high school basketball, I mean, if they would have made a documentary, it would have showed a lot of the same thing. So, it doesn't have social media today. I went to Isidore Newman High School. It makes it look like a juggernaut of talented, but I was the first one to come out. But then it's where Peyton Manning, it's where Eli Manning went to school, Odell Beckham. So it makes it look like it's a factory of sports, but it really was an academic school. But I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I was really the first one to really put it on the map nationally and really Louisiana in general. There have been some incredible players come out of here, but if I had to, I could rack my high school career, I would put it to the test against anybody. And that's including LeBron. I see a lot of things and people just don't know, but I personally believe, in my heart, if you had to rank someone's, whether it's AAU, whether it's high school acclimates, I would be willing to put mine up against anybody.
And your high, of course, and you were part of the class of 1993 and you were ranked #1 in the country, guys, over Jerry Stackhouse, over Rasheed Wallace, and amongst others. So when you're saying that, you're saying that with your chest, then, about you for your high school resume.
Oh, for sure. But that's just a part of it. That's high school. People don't realize I won 5 AAU national championships too, and 5 times MVP of all those national championships, starting from ages 11 all the way to 16. And so, when I start to put it all together, I won 3 high school state championships, was player of the year my junior and senior year, one time with Jason Kidd, one time with Rasheed Wallace. And, at the end of the day, I feel like I said, and I've said, chest out, head up high. If we go back in the history book, I would be willing to stack my resume against anybody, and it would be up there. And so, it's in the past now, but it's good to talk about. The Last Dance brings out all of that stuff, because we can go back and look at the memories of everything. So it was a great time in my life. I feel like I worked hard, and I tell people this all the time. You would have to beat me 6 out of the 7 days of the week for me to tell you that you're better than me. One time you can win a game, but that's just how I felt in high school. And so that's just the way it was then. And now, you have the age of social media, and, the one thing, and I don't know which way we're going to go here, but I need to see if the kids love the play and they love the game. Everybody can love it for social media. Everybody can love it for, I'm getting this offer, that offer, but do you really love the game? That's a big one with me. And I love it.
How can you tell if a player loves the game? And how can you tell if they don't?
Well, MJ said it best. Winning is important, and trying to win at all costs is important. Now, I don't know about the bully stuff and all that stuff, but I know, for me, when I played, I did whatever it took to win. If it played 5 games on one day, which we did back in the day and age, we did it. And so, and you went out and you put your heart, you left it on the line. You weren't scared of competition, which a lot of times today these guys are running from each other. They don't want to play against each other. Play against the best. You're only good as what you come up against. And I tell the kids that all the time. And so, you can tell if they love it, if just by the way they play, if they're making the right play. That doesn't mean you got to make every shot. That doesn't mean you have to make every perfect play. But if you really, truly love the game, you're going to, every night in, night out, and I think that was an incredible quote, Jordan said, you never know who's watching. And that's how I approached the game. In high school, I wanted to put on a show no matter where I went, because it could have been somebody's first time.
And you got something?
No, I'm good. No. I'm just watching the comments, trying to find a great comment that's talking about what you do. Okay, Melvin Dew said, what kind of knee problems did Randy have? And looking back, what would you have changed that may have helped your knees? It's kind of weird, but
yeah. I mean, I had a great surgeon. I had Dr. James Andrews, who everybody goes to now. I think, and like I said, The Last Dance is awesome. So I think looking back at it, probably if I wasn't 110% healthy, I wouldn't have went out and played again. When I got hurt going into my freshman year at LSU, I probably would have waited. But at the end of the day, I was a competitor. I was as close to 100% I get, and people don't really realize, I redshirted my freshman year. So I had more than enough time that I thought was enough to heal, but maybe I could have waited. But life happens. I never look back at what could have been. Every now and then I think about it, but I don't really, sit here and wonder if I could have did anything. And I think at the time we did the best that we could do. You wish at your time with the modern day medical miracles they do now, you just wish that was there then. But at the end of the day, it was the hand I was dealt with. I dealt with it, and I don't think there was anything that I could do to change. I worked hard, I rehabbed, and things just didn't work out for whatever reason. Jimmy,
I got a message from a woman. Anytime women come, they go in the front of the line. So Sonia Billings, she gonna jump over everybody. What NBA teams did you play on?
Uh-oh. Well, you know this. Got drafted by the Rockets.
I know.
Twitter Macro Rio said, I wish our team would have got a chance to play Mike them in the finals because we had it all, I thought.
Yeah.
And then after that, I played in Atlanta. I played in Phoenix, Chicago, Utah, Seattle twice. And what else? I think I played in Orlando and Miami for a little bit. Mainly played on West Coast teams. That was the kicker with my career. Chicago probably was the only East Coast team. Orlando, I had a little snippet. In Miami, I played with a little bit. But really, I played in the West. I played for Golden State. So I was the ultimate journeyman. And that's when, like when you talk about love, the knee injuries or whatever, I did. When I said I was going to leave school, I said I was going to make it no matter what. And to play on probably 11 different teams in 11 different years in the NBA, that's how much I love the game. And with stints in the CBA and D League, whatever. That's, so I was well traveled, as they say.
And now, of course, you went into college coaching, right, briefly. And what was that like? Because I mean, and being able to see the game from that angle for the first time, and before making this transition into high school, what was tell us about your time as a college coach.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was actually over in Australia. My wife's Australian. I was doing grassroots at a very, very high level, Australian and New Zealand. Not too many people know I saw Dante, Exum, Early. I saw all these guys. And so I had a scouting service over there. I had just finished coaching in the NBA Development League as a head coach. And so I did pro. And my goal was to go back to my alma mater at LSU. And for whatever reason, the timing was never right before then. And then Coach Jones thought the timing was right. I went in, and it was an interesting experience, to say the least. I feel like it's important, especially if I'm speaking to young coaches that are inspiring to do things. Make sure, you understand all the dynamics of college basketball before you do some things. What I really disliked about college basketball is they limited your time with the guys. And that really bothered me because I'm a hands-on guy. I like working out with the players. And then when they got cameras in the gym telling you when you can go in and go out with a player, that really bothered me. But from an experience, I got to be around Coach Jones. I got to be around one Robert Kirby, who is an amazing recruiter. I learned a lot from him. He's one of the best in the business. I got to be around Coach Brendan Sir, who runs all of the coaching clinics and stuff, and he has a wealth of knowledge. So from that standpoint, it was great. We just didn't, for my sake, I didn't have enough time. Me and Kirby signed Brandon Rochelle and signed Galen Alexander, and then the next thing, it was over. So we didn't really have a chance to really build a program and put our stamp in it, what I would have liked. But that's the business of basketball, and especially coaching business. So, but if I could do it again, I would, go under a different path, go on a different tree, learn more and more basketball. Because I ultimately feel like I'm better suited to be a head coach. That's just my path. That's all what I think about each other. And I know you have to work your way up there, but I was associate head coach for 2 years in the D League, head coach in the D League, and I was assistant coach in college. So, the one thing in college basketball, this is, like I said, I was telling for young coaches, you don't really necessarily have control. You can recruit the best players, but if something happens with your boss, you're out looking, and hopefully you're part of a good tree where you can catch back on. But when I say you don't have control, it's out of your control. You can work the guys, you can get them better, you can be a great mentor to them, but it's really not in your control. That's the one thing I dislike about college basketball, because I didn't control whether we win or lost.
You're talking about as being an assistant. You're talking about
being an assistant. Being an assistant.
Okay, I got another one, and from a lady, so I'm gonna have to put it in front of the line.
Okay. No worries.
Trina Mouton. She says, since you has coached and played on many different levels, what is your preference and why? High school, college, middle school, and the D League. What's your preference? You rather coach? Or you since you played?
I think Yeah, I mean, I think pro coaching is just about managing, right? It's just you got so many egos, you got guys making so much money. At that level is just to me a money grab by most coaches. They're grabbing it and they know they're gonna move to the next job. It's just a matter of time before they get fired. All the great coaches have gotten fired. To me, college is pretty much the last line. You have some years with the kids where you have you can build some relationships, whether it's over 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 4 years. So it's still more about teaching. It's more about building relationships. It's more about mentoring the kids. On the high school level and the high level grassroots, I feel like for me, I can be most impactful. So if that answers her question, I'll tell you why. I have the experience. I know what it takes to be the very best. I've traveled the world. I've had overseas experience. So I know what that looks like. I know what the guys that are trying to take our guys' spots here in the U.S. for pro basketball, what they're doing, how they're training them, how they're developing them. And then the most important about grassroots basketball and high school level basketball, the relationship. That's important to me. To be able to take a kid, whether he's raw, he doesn't understand what's about to come ahead of him in the real world, and groom him and give him a chance to be successful, a chance, is super important to me. And I think my ability to do that with kids and to be able to get them to understand and to really trust me right away, and the families to trust that I do know what I'm talking about. I've seen it at a high level. I've lived it. A lot of people can talk about it. Not a lot of people have lived it. And so that's the message I get across to them. And I try my very best to show them what it takes to be the very best that they can be and to put them on the path to success.
Now, going back, and I mentioned, Randy, you mentioned your stay and your time at LSU. And during that era up under Johnny Jones, he landed Ben Simmons from Australia. Well, he was living in Florida, but that's where his family. So during that, and my point is, you got a chance to see firsthand how, as a black head coach in that conference, he was during the same time you had Avery Johnson over at Alabama, right? During the time when you were at LSU as assistant coach. Coming out of that experience, do you have what did you take with you as far as or do you have an added need or desire to go now and be able to say, oh man, I see how hard it is now. I see how some of these guys that on the grassroots, because you on the other side of the fence, how they playing around and don't want to really give us any abundance of help to get you over the hump. So now you're with the grassroots side of the fence. Do you have an extra amount of octane in you to make it a mission to help black head coaches?
Well, I mean, for me personally, whatever coaches, black, white, Chinese, Asian, it doesn't matter to me. If they can help a kid get to the next level, I'm all for helping them out. On the other hand, I know how hard it was for Coach Jones to land the job at LSU. I know how hard it was for Coach Avery Johnson at Alabama, who did a phenomenal job there and still was, quote unquote, fired.
Exactly.
I think at the end of the day, it's timing. It's about, they all know how to recruit, and we would do our very best to help anybody, whether it's, like I said, if it's an Asian, white coach, black coach, purple coach, it really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you want to see those guys be successful because you know how hard they work, and they're kind of paving the path for us younger coaches to get there. But at the end of the day, I still believe it's about competency. It's about being able to deal with so many things outside of basketball, dealing with alumni, dealing with the AD, dealing with the fan base. A lot of that has to do with it. And then I'm going to tell you the most important thing and the most incredible thing that I found at my time in front of Coach Jones. When we got there, really the cupboard was bare and the Ben Simmons thing. But, recruiting still holds everything. you can be the best coach in the world. If you ain't getting the players, it's going to go downhill fast. Whether you're black, but I would say most of the time, it's not a black-white thing, but it seems like the white coaches get more opportunities, to say the least. But at the end of the day, the African American or the minority coaches have to be extraordinary to continue, their career and get more and more chances. And that's just the world we live in. It is what it is.
Got to be twice as good and 10 times as bad. But we got Anthony Fobb. He just asked Randy how it felt being back home. There were many locals that do not particularly like that you're back. Oh, that they're back. They feel he going to take the players. Will he say? What will you say to them to ease their concerns? That's weird.
Well, here's it. No, it's fact though.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Little state.
Okay.
They think like it's not. There haven't been, and it's been a long time for one person to bring the state together on the basketball area. So what I did was this is how God works in all of our lives, and especially mine. I go to Australia. I don't know anybody in Australia. I pretty much and I was there for 4 years. I pretty much ran grassroots in Australia. I have known nobody in Australia, and in the 4-year period, I touched a lot of kids. So it was sort of like, and I hate to say it in this way, but it was a guinea pig for what I wanted to do when I come home. My eyes was always to come back home and help the youth because people did it for me. That was always my goal. And so it was sort of a guinea pig situation. So turn years later. And when I say guinea pig situation, it was a home run hit. I mean, we went to Adidas Nations and almost beat the Zion Williamson team with the kids I had from Australia, including the Mature Maker. That team, I had 12 players on it. All 12 of them played in college basketball. So we had some talent. But what I did is I studied it. I figured it out. I was running my scouting service. I was on the phone with college coaches, Division I high program. I went to the Final Four every year. So I pretty much learned the game. I figured out how the college game works with the grassroots. So I go back till now. I come back here. There was a huge gap and need for someone to bring the state together. So we started an AAU company. I was still on the Adidas side at the chance. And then I said, okay, it was another guinea pig year, which I got lucky. But we had a good group. We went out and played well. Then I go to the top 100 camp in Virginia. The Nike people were like, we need somebody to unite Louisiana for us. Didn't know if it was going to happen. And so I was like, all right. So Clee, who's my co-director in the business, he had a Fleur de Lis program. And that's where the name come from. And it was kind of dying. He don't say, but it was going down. They had some good players. Javante Smart was on that team. You had Jerron Zarrow, who's with Houston now. They had a good little group. Brandon Rochelle, they were pretty good, but it was kind of dying a little bit. So then it was EP Elite. So then I got here and I said, you know what? I know how this thing works. Let's figure out how to do it. So Nike came up and they said, how would you like to take over and get an EYBL team? You guys need to go 15 and 16 you the first year. And if you do well, we'll put you on. So I know the formula. So I jumped head in. Me and Clee, we put this thing together. And we kind of got to stop I hate to say this, and Jeff and Tim was on this. Now, we got to stop the rating of the Louisiana kids going to Texas to play AAU. That's my first thing. I see them on that. That's my first thing. We got to keep the guys in state. Because not too many people know that De'Aaron Fox is from New Orleans. My man Kelly Oubre is from New Orleans. They're from New Orleans.
They pay taxes in Houston, though.
I agree. I agree. So I'm not claiming them, but what I'm saying, they were here. There's a lot of kids that go away. You mentioned Robert Williams. So there's a lot of things that was happening on the grassroots team. Okay. And I think for the most part, there's always good players. So that was my first train of thought is how can we unite it? So I got people all over the state. Like I strategically did it. I got people in Lake Charles. My man Dexter Washington. I got people in northern Louisiana. I got people in southern Louisiana. And so that was my first goal, was to try to tie down the state. And so that's how the Live On Florida Leaf came. We were very successful the first year. I was thinking the team make it to the Peach Jam and do well. So that's my goal. Now, Bob's question might be revolving around high school. Now, the Newman job, that wasn't the plan. So,
okay.
But when I naturally come back home, and I don't know if my Newman administrator, the athletic director and the head of school, I know a lot of people. So people are naturally inclined going to want to be like, okay, let's see what's happening at Newman right now. So there's a lot of people scared of that part of it. That, okay, I take their guys. That's not how I work because my school doesn't work like that. It's one of the top academic schools in the whole South. So you doing the school work, it ain't happening like that. So it ain't going to be a school like that. But I have to be selective. So when I come home and a guy like Chris Lockett shows up his first year and he's at Newman, yeah, people are going to be scared. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for elite players, but I'm looking for people that are willing to do the schoolwork and willing to learn because I'm going to coach them hard. Again, we get back to that last thing. Yeah. Dan Steele. Doug Collins coached Michael Hart. He said that's the best thing you can do to a good player is just coach him hard.
Right.
I have high expectations. Our school has high expectations. So It ain't going to work for everybody. But gotcha. I'm going to get my hands on some of the kids because people are enamored with coming back and being a part of something that they know is going to be special. I can't help that. That's part of it.
I like that, Coach. Coach, y'all just taught me something. I didn't know that was going on. I'm thinking Randy is back. Everything is good for Louisiana, and they still got some people still mad. Boy, you know what? You can't please everybody, Randy. You can't. Keep on doing what you're doing, brother. What else you got, Jeff?
So now, of course, you just mentioned your program, and you gave a great details on how you landed with Nike after being with Adidas. Because that was one of the questions I had coming up for you. Yeah, so now, you guys, how many sneaker-sponsored programs are in the state of Louisiana, would have been in 2020?
There really should be one because I don't think the state's big enough. But Jeff Jones, he has an Under Armour program, and they've done well. You got to give him a lot of credit. So we have two. You have us and the Nike EYBL circuit, and then you have an Under Armour team. And I'm not sure how long that can be really effective because, like I said, we're not as big. But I think the kids still need that outlet. They need to be able to have the exposure to get. So as of right now, I'm okay with both. But I think at the end of the day, we're looking, and you can, as my Twitter, we're looking for elite basketball players that want to have a chance to be future college players and future pros. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing. And Indiana is a football state, always has been, but then it cycles on and off for basketball, and we're about to go into uptick and on. I really do believe that. The 21 class is really good. 22 and 23, I think, have a chance to be special. So, that's just the nature of the beast now. And, my other goal, this is the other thing when I really came to Louisiana and found out, and there's no slight against any coaching, the players are always as good as the coaching they're getting. And my job here is to develop good coaching too. Because eventually, I'm going to be 50, 60, and I'm not involved in coaching much. So we have to raise the coaching repertoire here in Louisiana so the kids will always have good coaching. And that's part of, the growth of basketball here. And I'm looking forward to bringing that. And eventually people will understand what I'm about. This is just about building and growing the game in Louisiana, period. All the other stuff is for the birds.
Now, what's the difference between the Adidas grassroots circuit and the Nike grass? You've been on Nike circuit for a couple of years, a couple of summers. Explain us the highlights from both sides of what's the differences between the two.
Well, in my time, I just from my rookie year, and this goes back to Sonny Vaccaro, which was a name that wasn't brought up in the last dance, but he should have. I've been an Adidas person for, I would say, since I was 15, 16 years old, all the way until this last scandal happened. So that's a long time being with one. So I had a familiarity with the people that worked there. I had a comfort level with the guys at the very, very top. And during my time, especially when we were doing Adidas Nation, we had really, really good players. And that makes the shoe brand game if you got players. It's just part of it. But what I've now learned since moving over to Nike, Nike is way more competitive. The teams are from top to bottom competitive. And then they do have the top players. And so every game you're going to see a top kid somewhere that probably is going to be a future pro. And so from that standpoint, that's the biggest difference. And I just think Peach Jam far outweighs any other AAU event. I mean, that's the like mecca of events. You want to make it to Peach Jam, Nike does an incredible job of getting the exposure for the kids. It's one of the better events. Last year was my first year. To make it on the first year was special, but to be there, because I had never been, it was an incredible array. And bless his heart, I love Bronny, LeBron's son. It's good, but there were more people there to watch him. And I'm not sure how good he is at this stage yet. But there was so much other basketball being played. I mean, fantastic basketball. So it's where you want to be. I can see why all the kids and the EYBL in itself is an incredible brand. Just EYBL itself, not even the other machine behind it at Nike. Just the EYBL brand is incredible. So I think that's the major difference. Super competitive. It's probably more competitive. On the Adidas, you might run across 10 good teams, and then the other teams are just so-so. On the EYBL, every game, you got to bring it. You're going to see something.
Hey, man. I mean, you definitely, I mean, I'm just enamored by your journey and your story. A lot of people may not, it hadn't probably soaked in to a lot of people who aren't familiar, which there are people on both platforms who, just didn't follow basketball back in the 90s and didn't know. But I mean, we definitely appreciate and congratulate you on the journey you've been on. Think about it. You played in the NBA. First of all, McDonald's All-American. You've won multiple state championships. You've been the MVP of multiple championships. You won AAU national championships. And it's just so clean. Understand? You went to college, was an All-American in college, right?
Yeah.
You went to the NBA. You lasted for 10 seasons, 10 or 11 seasons in the NBA. Played overseas, got a chance to see the world. You came back, was a college coach at your alma mater. Understand? Then you go and give back to the grassroots side of things. Got a chance to on the Adidas side, now the Nike side, and of course Cleavon Williams, does a great job. Of course, he helps get everything rolling. And I remember last year, you guys with that program Live On, Fluid Elite, they both came to Houston to the spring icebreaker between your 15s and 16s. They only lost one game combined between both programs. You ran through all of the teams down this way last year.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I saw one of your younger teams. You had another former college. Sean Pep was coaching on one of them teams, helping you coach. Dude, you got you've been in a nice program down there, Doc.
Because I was looking forward to this whole bit. Here's the thing about Louisiana kids. Mm-hmm. And our program. You can build something and turn it back expectations. Right? And I think the top 20 kids on one team. That doesn't happen from a bigger pool of players that they're pulling from Texas. We know that doesn't happen because what happens is you don't be able to shine. Why you
Hey, Randy.
Yep.
Randy, do me a favor. Go out and come back in. Push out and come back in because your connection is not. Just push the red button and then come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't know that was just mine because you had the controls over there at us. So I figured I ain't know him, and I just couldn't.
See how normal you and I are now?
Yeah.
Now, when he jumped back in, it should be better. He joined back in. He's
now,
coming.
of course, that's Randy Livingston, guys.
There he is.
Now the last question. Are you there?
Randy, push your mute. Take your mute. Take it off mute.
Take.
Take it out. Yeah, we couldn't hear you now. Now we can't hear you. You're on mute for some reason. Hit your mute button. Hit the sound button.
You done ran his earbuds out of pocket.
Oh.
And of course, on this Baby Friday, guys,
yeah.
and want to remind you, on Monday, we have another special show for you guys coming up on Monday. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have various facility owners or directors are going to come in and share with you guys a lot of the precautions and the measures that they're taking as we emerge or try to emerge from this COVID pandemic, that they're going to take while events are being hosted in their facilities. That is a very important conversation that involves and encompasses the safety of your kids and and relatives out there. So that's Monday. Stay tuned. Of course, on Tuesday, we got Greg Wise by popular demand. Remember, you guys wanted him back. Greg, the head coach of Houston Jack Yates High School, have a conversation with Greg Wise. On Wednesday, we're going to have a couple of college coaches that's going to chime in with us. And on Thursday, we will continue this grassroots basketball conversation. We have a few more of 3 additional grassroots program directors will join us again on next Thursday. We're out there, we're getting it done, guys. And so once again, I'm so sorry for a lot of you guys, the questions that I did not get to on either of the platform. Randy was talking to him so good because I mean when he's going like that, guys, couldn't break the flow, because it was an interesting story.
Yeah, intriguing
on how the last thing he was talking about how he got his deal. Or how he's transferred over. Understand, I think he played for the New Orleans Jazz, if I'm not mistaken, back in the days. That's back with Thad them had. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the program whom he came up or he played with in grassroots. That New Orleans Jazz team was coached by Danton, and Danton is a college coach now, and they were wrecking shop.
Jimmy, you must have said something key, and I'm sorry I didn't hear you, because people asking you about you got to have certain people on. So your comment was in the future you having whom on again?
What we're doing is we're getting, as you guys noticed, so that way I'm glad you asked, that way people can go, because everybody looks for an excuse, right, to turn their lip up. We had Lupe Nunez last week. So Lupe Nunez was with one of the Under Armour. He's the Under Armour director, administrator with Texas Hard Work. This week we had the Houston Hoops, we had Nike Pro Skills, and we had Randy Livingston with the Live On, right? So remind you, next week we will be having the Houston. Remember, I'm going to, and I'm invited and extended invites to all of the 17 and under sneaker-sponsored programs in the state of Texas have received invites first. Then, understand it. So then, once again, next week, we got the Houston Defenders, have Team Harden, and I can't remember who the other team is from out of town.
We got Randy back now, Jimmy. Let's get it. We got Randy back. Randy, what's going on?
Yeah, sorry about that technical difficulty.
No, yeah, but they thought it was me. Thought it was us, but boy, they don't understand. We got this internet Jimmy and I got, boy, it's world class. And in different homes. See, people don't if you know what, Randy, what kills me? Randy, I'm watching First Take. I'm watching these other shows. Man, they can't get Stephen A. Smith of stuff right yet. And the budget that they have there, and he make what, $6-7 million a year, and his internet is not that good. So it's not the internet, man. You have no control, ladies and gentlemen, of when your upload speed. See, I had to teach my sister the other day, Randy. She was talking about getting a new internet thing, right? And I was
Yep.
explaining her, make sure they'll give you all that download speed that you can download to Netflix, but to stream, you got to have upload speed, and they got to
No,
understand that
okay.
dynamic. But you're back now. Where were you at? You were right in the middle of a great point. You want to finish right there?
Yeah. Let me see if I can go back up. I
Yeah.
guess my whole thing is coming back to, and we're talking about Louisiana General. We got to get the coaching. Eventually, I will get old. Other guys that are in the program now get old. If the players are only as good as the coaching, I tell people that all the time. So it's like, and I think I heard this from somebody said this. It's just like if you have a car problem, you ain't taking it to a mechanic that's working on this first. So you better take it to some experienced people, and they're the ones that can show your kids the way. Because nowadays you got 100 different personal trainers, and not that all of them are good, and not that all of them are bad. But you better check their resume. You better check to make sure that what you're paying for, you're getting. And a lot of times, I'm not saying I know I'm the only way. I'm the messiah of helping guys get to the NBA because it's been proven that so many kids get there. But when you've been there and you had the experience, it definitely helps, and it gives you an opportunity to put your foot in the dough, and then you have to let all your hard work and all the stuff that you do with kids show out. And I think that's important for that piece of it.
I just
And
saw something that was key, Randy, and I was just commenting on it. That's why I was looking down. Martin Vaughn said, we're talking about competition. Do you think the best across each sneaker line should compete and truly for the best crown? I don't think that because the cross from the states don't do that. The cross from different states. So everybody don't commit. I don't think competing for the crown of having the best AAU team. I never thought that was just important to me. So let's say the guy that wins the Peach Jam plays the guy that makes the Under Armour, and the guy that. Me personally, I never thought that should be maybe y'all got different. I just never thought that was
I,
important to me. Huh?
I got something to say about that, and something
Okay.
that really, at all of those years still being in the South, and I spoke about my AU resume, we still didn't get any love basically until I went to this one tournament called the Boston Shootout on the East Coast.
Okay.
Now, the concept of that was incredible because you had Reebok, Dunkin' Donuts, Coca-Cola, and Gillette as the sponsors, and they bought teams from each state, the best players from the state. So it didn't matter if it was on the AAU team. Now the AAU guys will go crazy now because they'll think somebody's trying to steal their players. But at the end of the day, the best team from Chicago came, the best team from Louisiana came, Atlanta, New York, Boston, California, and it was a free fall. You could pick guys from San Francisco, LA, San Diego. They all came, and it was truly one of the best tournaments that I ever played in because Bird was there, Reggie Lewis came courtside. You played the first two games at Boston U, and then the championship and the third, fourth place game was in the Garden. What special way to do that. And so I think that's a good way to do it. I'm not sure if playing the Under Armour champion versus the EYBL champion 17U versus the Adidas champion would do very much unless you say, okay, we're going back to Vegas and we're going to put them all in that one thing. But now the scouts can't come out and see, but they can stream it. So it's kind of some disadvantages now to doing it. I don't know what it really would accomplish besides you can have a summer champion if that's what you want to call a true summer champion. But I've been looking at all the circuits. If you win Peach Jam, you're the summer champion. Just trust me. I've seen the Adidas at the highest. I've seen, Under Armour. But if you win Peach Jam, you should be considered the best.
Oh, thank you. But you know what, Jimmy? Jimmy. You want to make a comment because there's a couple of things going on. Randy, I'm glad you in house now because Todd Holmes and a lot of people talking about Jimmy, I guess Jimmy made the comment of what he's doing, like he's bringing you on and bringing all the guys on. He's talking about from girls basketball side. Let me tell you something. Jimmy has a key phrase he always use: input equal output. If the women gonna support the show that day, if the women and the people on the women's side are gonna support the show like these men do, of course, we wouldn't mind having the women basketball coaches or the women summer coaches on. But our analytics, because we have analytics over here, young people out here. This not a mom and pop store over here with me and Jimmy. If you see the stuff that goes in and producing this show, this is first class over here. And this not just anybody can say, I just want to be on the chop shop. This man sits and thoroughly plan this thing out. Let's get this straight right now. This ain't little Johnny on the corner that you can, because y'all have the and I'm sorry, Randy, I guess got a little house cleaning to do right now. Because if we don't say it, nobody else would say it for us. You follow me? This thing is carefully planned out. He giving everybody a voice. On Wednesdays, the analytics show, Todd Holmes, our viewership and support is lower on every Wednesday. But Jimmy and I hadn't stopped it because we understand the value of it. So I just want y'all to understand, you're telling us you should have this person on, you should have this person. This stuff is completely thought out. David Polk, I wasn't interrupting Randy, but David Polk, this is my show. So guess what? When it's your show, you can kind of do it. And it's very important we do a little housekeeping. And I didn't want Jimmy, I had to, because if Jimmy had got there, it would have really went, because I know how he felt about it. So now, Randy, Jimmy, you can have the show. I just had to go there, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Now, Randy, one thing I skipped over is that during that time when you were in high school, you in New Orleans, and you didn't grow up on the other side of the West Bank, right? You grew up in the projects. Tell them what project.
Uptown. So I grew up in the Callio Housing Project, which is the home of P. And I don't know if Hatter remember this time. We were on Holly Hall that when I first got to the Rocket over there. Us, P, the late Steve McNair, we had Anthony Darcett, everybody was in there. Well, me and P were neighbors, but we grew up in the same project. So, for me, a lot of people don't know that side because I went to Newman and I'm educated and speak well. I grew up in one of the roughest of roughest, and it was my way out. Basketball was my way out, and I think people don't really understand that concept because kids, they're still in some impoverished areas, but without basketball, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And being able to help kids. And so, growing up in that during that time, it was tough because I could have went left or right easily. It's just that I had a great mom who always pushed us. I had a great support staff and my siblings. And so I was able to survive that. And but during that time, whether it was P, whether it was the Cash Money guys, all of us kind of grew up in that same, environment during that time. And it was, it was tough during that time. It was murder capital of the world for sure.
Exactly.
And people didn't make it out. And so I was very lucky and fortunate. And so when just the fact that I played the 11 years in the NBA and people say, well, you didn't make $100 million. Man, I have had a successful life. I don't have to do anything else in basketball, but just me surviving and getting out of the Callio projects, was a testament to me being successful. And I think people don't know that side of it. And between me and you guys, I'm at about 120 pages on an autobiography that I'm working on that'll tell those stories and share it. It's amazing. And I know, Robert, you were just going off about your show. I know how much time this stuff takes. I'm producing a little show right now with my guys in Lake Charles. And yeah, it is planned out. We ain't just getting on here talking about anything. We have it takes time to plan and develop and direct and get all of the stuff in line. And people always want to, try to control what you do, but don't ever want to put in the work behind the scenes. That's the crazy part of anything you do in life, but it's the same thing in basketball. And the P's of the world, the Cash Money, they ain't just pop up. Randy ain't just pop up. When I was younger doing the AAU game, man, I grinded. I worked my tail off all day, every day for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. That's how I became who I became on those ranks. So, so kudos to you guys. I've been watching you guys from afar. I check in and watch before. I got friends in Houston that check in about the show, and so kudos to your guys. I wish at one day I can get this Live and Deck show popping like y'all got it popping here in Louisiana. But you guys are nationally, you guys have done an incredible job. So I'm a big fan, and I'm just happy to be on. And I really would love to do it again. Whenever y'all need somebody, just pull me in, man. Because I think that to talk about the love of basketball and just how basketball, there's so many topics, we can talk about just because I've traveled the world with basketball and how grassroots is just different in different parts of the world than here. They do it better sometimes. But you can't tell nobody in the U.S. that way, but they do sometimes. And so you have to learn and grow and evolve.
And lastly, I want to ask you about your program. What are you guys doing or planning to do when your team is able to resume practicing? What efforts are you guys taking as a result of COVID-19?
Well, this weekend we're gonna have a Zoom call with all of our guys because I got wind of, some guys and families were panicking about college choices, not knowing if we would ever have a summer this year, and we're probably jumping the gun on some commitments. So we just got to make sure they're in the right headspace. But then we're gonna follow, the guidelines. Once they tell us we can go and we're full go, we're going to have a tryout and we're going to get going. And so, I'm hopefully, that it's sooner than later. But, we're going to, I won't say conservative's the right word, but we're just going to follow the guidelines. There's a lot of liability questions. There's a lot of things out there that, I think is important for families and kids and people who make decisions. But when they give us the go, we some hungry dogs out here. I'm just telling you, the Louisiana kids, these kids here, it's like they have, it's the old sad adage. They fed them some gunpowder to some of these dogs out here. They ready to go, man. These kids are hungry just to prove, because you got to realize that we went to Peach Jam last year. It was the first year program, and we had some really good teams really good players on that team. Mm-hmm. And not one guy, and I know people say rankings don't mean anything and all that stuff, but we don't have one guy ranked in the top 100. And I've looked at all these, and it's everybody's opinion, it's subjective, but I've looked at these lists. You can't tell me there's 30, 40, 50 players better than 4 or 5 of the players on our team. Just off of, if you just put them, and I always say this, me and Clee talk about this all the time, and that's when the competition come in. We just like putting them in the ring and let's see the best come out. If you put this guy against that guy, I know my kids are going to come out very successful. I don't mean the other guy's not any good or my guy is 10 times better. I just know the type of kids we have in Louisiana. They're hungry. They're hungry to prove themselves. And like I said, the basketball here is on the uptick. This won't be the last. And you'll see, we'll come to your tournament for the next 3-4 years, and you're going to be like, damn, Randy, where y'all found these kids from? And, we are going to put we're going to put a little ring fence around the state. We may not be able to keep all of them, but there's going to be a fence up to keep the kids here in Louisiana. And I think we're going to try to come into Texas and get a few. We're going to try to go into Arkansas and Mississippi. And so, that's just the way the game is played now. But at the end of the day, we want the kids to be highly successful, and we want, to me, the same thing I felt, and I didn't tell y'all this story about the Boston Shootout, but I get in the elevator. We get to the Boston Shootout with the lady who runs the event, and she said, "Where y'all team from?" He's like, "We from Louisiana, most of us from New Orleans." "Oh, that's really good to have y'all here. I hope y'all have a good time, because y'all don't have a chance in hell at winning nothing up here." And that always stuck with me. Like, I'm on the elevator, so I get out the elevator. I got the big boulder on my shoulder now, and we beat Jawan Howard, Michael Finley, Donnie Boyce, Believia Park. They had some other pros on that team. We beat them in the championship game. So that's the attitude I want the kids to take on from Louisiana. It's us against the world. Have a chip on your shoulder. Prove that there is good basketball in Louisiana. Because in 1993, you had a Scotty Thurman, a Gerald Honeycutt, myself, a Rashard Allen, Kerry Kittles, Dwayne Spencer. It was a heyday of basketball here in Louisiana, and not to let alone the Robert Paxson, Jaren Jackson. There were some players here that people just didn't want to see. Liddell Echols. You can go on to Dave Johnson. We can go on and on. These are guys I looked up to. And so that's what we want to bring basketball back in Louisiana. And we're going to find those hungry players. And like I said, we may not get them all, but I hate to use that, but we're going to definitely try to put a fence and a wall around Louisiana and keep some of these kids.
All right. You remember one thing. You just mentioned you're going to Mississippi and you're going to Alabama and you're going to Arkansas.
They coming.
It's an old blues song that say, while you stepping out.
Somebody has been stepping in.
so you
no question.
On over to them other states, other players, and you watch them guys go be invading that border, and from Lake Charles down to Lafayette, on down to the Moulin Rouge. But once again, man, we definitely appreciate man coming in on the Chop Shop with us. And tell them before we go, let them know how they can watch the Live and Deck show, and tell us about that.
Yeah, so a lot of times in coaching, and I tell all young coaches, make sure you get a mentor in this business. I think it's important, and Coach Dexter Washington has been that for me. And the thing is, me and him talk every day. He calls me at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I said, instead of sharing this with me every day, let's share it to the world. God brought us together for a reason. And so we just talk all things basketball, similar to what you guys do. And then we're on Instagram at Real Coach Live. And the Live and Deck show is tonight at 7 o'clock. And the topic is college recruiting. I'm one of the few guys, like I said, that was highly recruited. I've been there on that side of it. I've been on the college side of it, knowing what they're doing, now on the grassroots side, trying to help kids, and being on the professional side. So it's going to be a fire topic tonight. And, we welcome questions. We I think with the community, the basketball community in the world, I have people on from Japan, from Australia, all over. So we're just blessing the world with some knowledge. The one thing I played with Clyde Drexler. He said, look, Randy, you can't go to your grave with this. So pass it on to people. And I think that's extremely important in the world we live in today, is that we need to pass it on to the young generation. I don't really care, like they say, well, how to build. Last topic was how to build a program. It's how I built my program. We've been successful. If you take it and build your program, fine. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm not trying to hide. There's no secrets in this. Let's share it with the world. Let's grow the game. And that's what the Live and Deck show is about. And we'll be on tonight, 7 o'clock. Real Coach Live, Instagram Live.
On IG, guys. There you have it. Randy Livingston, the living legend from out of Louisiana, straight out of the Cali Oak projects.
You got it. Third one.
He mentioned P, guys. The P whom he was talking about is whom we've known as Master P. That's the P whom he was referring to. We grew up with and during that time. And of course, we're gonna get you back, man, and talk more about you back. And a lot of people may not understand how life in the hood or life on those streets were, especially when you're a student athlete. But thanks so much, Randy Livingston, man. Also, thanks again. Preceded you with Jeff Webster and Schumacher from all three of those grassroots programs. A great convo today. Hopefully they enlightened you guys, informed you, entertained you about various aspects of their programs and their ideology about the sport of basketball. We want to remind you guys that on Monday, we're going to have a hell of a conversation. The first hour, we're going to go and recap the last 2 episodes of The Last Dance. So we're going to have that convo on Monday. So first hour. Then on the second hour, we get right into it with a lot of the facility owners and directors around Houston, and so they can share what you can expect new when you come into their facilities in the near future. There'll be tournaments, I'm hearing, starting up as early as in 2 weeks around town. People are having tournaments. And so this is important dialogue. So that means you guys may have some things to understand as to there may be a very limited amount of fans that may be approved to come in certain facilities. It's a great combo on Monday. Make sure you share the Chop Shop on your platforms, if you would. Make sure you go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube page. That's very important for our digital footprint. This is very important because, and what we're going to do, we're going to continue to strive to get better every day.
Yes.
And that's all we can do on this end of the street. And you guys keep it popping out there. Randy, once again,
thank you, Randy. Wow.
So much. And on behalf, of course, of Robert Hatter, I'm Jim Hicks. This is the Chop Shop. But guess what time it is, guys? It's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba doo. This thing. I'm about to go get this cup. And I'll return it.
Jim Hicks. Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports.